Hello there. Today's video, I'm going to call it an invitation to meditation. So, I've been familiar with meditation since I was 16. And I remember back then, I had heard of meditation and I thought it was this like difficult, complex activity that you would really have to know a lot for to be able to put it in practice. But surprisingly enough, I stumbled upon an app that was called Mindfulness at the time. I don't know if it still exists, but it was 11 years ago. And so that app had a voice that would make you scan your body while meditating, and either like sitting down in a quiet place or laying down. Now, it can be a quiet place, but it could also be a noisy place. But you have to calm the noise in your head, though. So you can be in a quiet place. Well, if you are like experienced enough, you could also practice in a crowdy place with lots of people moving around, and so maybe that's an extra challenge. But usually you would just sit down or lay down in a quiet place, and as each thought passes or crosses your mind, you don't want to like judge it. You don't want to pressure yourself in that way, because the goal is to be just focused on your breathing or another cue. So I will come to this later, but you can probably only focus on 2, 3 cues at a time anyways, or at the same time. So the breath would be one. So but this app, it guided me to sometimes like feel like the top of my head, my ears, like the air that was coming in and out of my nose, and how it would refresh my nostrils when air would come in, and how warm air would come out. And so I would be mindful of my body and the environment I was in. And so usually this will be a quiet setting. But you could, yeah, if you do it at home, maybe you will hear some refrigerator or something. But yeah, so the goal is to like forget about everything, and not ruminate about the past, and not stress about future events, but instead just reaching a point where you solely focus on your breathing and some other cue. You can, for example, also focus on the weight of your back against the floor, or your butt or legs that like are in contact with the ground, and how gravity inevitably like pulls you down and applies like so the pressure on your back that you feel. So this can be another cue. And one last one could, for example, be your heart rhythm, even though I never really focused on my heart rhythm during meditation, just because I didn't really like it. I prefer to focus on my breathing. Yeah, but so it could be anything else, like temperature. It could also be like temperature, so you're aware of like maybe some area that is colder, and another place that is warmer. And so like with that, you would, and in combination, so these are the things that you want to focus on. And whenever you have a thought that crosses your mind, you don't want to judge it like, oh no, I had this thought even though I was supposed to just focus on my breath. And no, you don't want to have that approach. You want to just observe it and not judge it, but just observe it as like a cloud that would like shift and like cross the sky, and you just watch your thought until it vanishes and disappears. And so sometimes, I don't know, maybe if you had a breakup, you could obsess over certain things, but really it's just thoughts. It's just thoughts. And so I found that when it was difficult to meditate, and sometimes I couldn't even meditate, but I would still do the 20 minutes. So you set an alarm clock. 21 minutes allows you to get comfortable in the beginning. And once you're comfortable enough, you just, yeah, you forget about the time, because you can also do it without a timer, but this is probably for more experienced meditators. And I still like to have that signal of the alarm that tells me, okay, the 20 minutes are over. But so 20 minutes I found is a sweet spot, because longer would really be kind of long, doing nothing at all for more than 20 minutes. And less than that, well, the first 10 minutes usually are much different than the 10 last minutes. Because the first 10 minutes, your brain is still, your thoughts are still all over the place. And during the first 10 minutes, what you do is that you become aware of where your thoughts are actually, like where you are in your mind. It actually allows you to become conscious of the things that are going on in your mind. And so our thoughts, you may think are our thoughts, but we are sponges, and they're also a reflection of our environment. And so if we so if we think that we like, so this allows us to gain a sense of control, but also awareness. Now the control is usually, so you don't want to control it in a like rigid manner. You don't want to obsess over like not thinking, for example, and focusing on your breath, because then you didn't get the whole point, which is it is about calming your mind. It's about calming your mind so that in everyday hectic stressful situations you're able to withstand these, because you are aware of the thoughts that are present in your mind, and you can distinguish between just mere influences, that things that maybe sometimes when I meditate, I think about the voice of someone I recently heard during that day or the past week or so. And then I know, okay, so that math teacher, for example, I have now her voice popping up in my mind during the meditation. Okay. And then I just like let it pass as a cloud that would vanish. And then I would have moments of deep relaxation where I would only think about my breath or some other cue. And you can also not think about anything. You can also choose to pick a point on your wall and just gaze at it, just stare at it. You can also do that. You can also close your eyes. Now, I'm not an expert. I'm just, and this is not a guide to meditation. This is just my personal experience with meditation and how it helps me to sharpen the lens of my everyday life, and how some of the thoughts we think are our thoughts are actually just the result or like the reflection of like our environment, because as humans we're like sponges. And so our free will in there, I think, is when we decide not to entertain also certain thoughts, and instead allow other thoughts to come into our mind and psyche and consciousness. And so so that this is the control I'm talking about. Because if I say a green elephant, it will be very hard for you not to think about the image, the picture of a green elephant. I'm thinking about a green elephant right now. But if so, where do I want to go with that? Well, if you just agree with in yourself that certain thoughts, like let's say on the road, bumping into another car, and I don't know, running over someone when you're driving, and so that horrible thought, you don't want to entertain it. Now, it's still good to be conscious and aware of the potential dangers on the road, but you don't want to get caught into these thoughts to the point where they are to the point where this is counterproductive. This is, on the contrary, you might be so afraid of a car accident that you will maybe even not evoke it, but that you will maybe, being super afraid of something isn't the solution for it not to happen. So meditation, it allows you to let go, but to first become aware of the thoughts you're having, and then you can decide which ones you want to let go of. And to let go of these thoughts, it's not something you actively do. It's not like for example, when you hit the gym, then you do something. But not doing something is also difficult, but in another way. Because when you are an achiever, someone who does stuff, and you hit the gym, you I don't know, you interact with people, you're the one, you're proactive, you're the proactive one. All of these things are great, but sometimes some things you cannot force them. Some things you cannot force them to happen. And so if you're always in a contracted, rigid, like mental posture, then I think that you're limiting yourself, and that some things, that good things that could happen to you, you are maybe avoiding them to happen to you. And so I think that being able to be aware of the thoughts you're having, and which are maybe the result of external life, like circumstances and influences, it allows you to regain control over your own thoughts. And at least in my case, it lowers my kind of like anxiety. To have done these like 20 minutes of meditation, I don't do them every single day. I do them once in a while. And sometimes I don't stick to the 20 minutes. Sometimes I will interrupt it, which I don't think is good. It's not optimal. But yeah, so what I'm just trying to say is that also I saw some YouTubers that said, yeah, you have to meditate for 20 minutes every single day until the rest of your life. Otherwise, this doesn't make sense. Well, this is a very rigid and a very rigid, contracted like approach, uptight, and like that's not the way to go about it. Now, if you meditate every single day and it feels good to you, then go ahead and do that. But yeah, I'm not talking about like I'm not even condoning this. I'm not saying you should meditate. I'm just saying that in my case, also with all this like French German like chaos, all this like French and German language and so, meditating really allows me to take some perspective and to be more on edge, like more productive, more like straightforward to the point. I'm not like fiddle around as much, not like be all over the place. So let's say the a good meditation session, I would like, let's say I would be all over the place and I would need to regroup myself. And so meditating, like after the 20 minutes, if it was a good session, then usually I'm like, wow, now I can just grab my stuff. I will, I don't know, I hop in the bus, I go to the gym, I do my workout, I go back home, I study, I'm more straight to the point. And also emotionally, I feel more stable. And yeah, and also the general, like, just like being aware of your body and like your muscles relaxing and so on. And also maybe it's energy that you're not wasting uselessly. So a lot of energy and time can actually be saved by meditating 20 minutes like that. Because in a way, in a scary way, life is also very long. Now, life is also very short in another way. But life in another way is also going to be very long. So how are we going to fill all this time? And I think that 20 minutes of meditation here and there, it is really not harmful. On the contrary, it, like, I would definitely encourage you to try it out. There are apps for that, applications. There are YouTubers that are experts on it. There are like authors like Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. So finding the present moment, not ruminating about the past, not thinking ahead all the time, but being able to be present in the moment is, I think, very important. And it can, but now you can also hear that I'm not an expert on this. And probably my practice of meditation is very flawed. Probably the way I go about it isn't optimal. Probably for, I don't know, maybe I'm doing the same, like maybe I'm doing the same mistakes sometime. Maybe sometimes when I'm having redundant thoughts, like intrusive thoughts about like random weird stuff, and I wonder, why do I keep having these? Well, maybe it's because, maybe I should, maybe I should reach out to some expert. This is why actually there is um, a lady, there is a woman that is teaching kind of such practices, and I got in touch with her, and it's being aware of your thoughts also. And yeah, how none of our thoughts are subjective, and how we design the world around us, and how, like, you would think that the world around us, like, we are. So this is all about being at the cause and not the effect, and regaining control over your life to just feel more happy and fulfilled, and not be as like worried, and like, because life will throw a lot of challenges at you. And we are like, some people tolerate pain better than others and stuff like that, but suffering is human. Suffering is, it can all of us, like, no human on earth has never suffered. Like, even if you come from a wealthy, rich, developed countries, if someone dies, some of your beloved ones dies, like, you will still be affected. And if so, we have everything we need in terms of food and shelter, and so yeah, so this is then the pyramid. I could go I could elaborate on that with the pyramid of Maslow, like the Maslow, like you first need to have your basic needs covered, to then like then the last one is the self-development stage, the self-fulfillment stage. Yeah, so we are lucky to have like to be I'm lucky to be in a developed country and so on. But pain like is still a real thing. It still exists. Pain, suffering, also doubt, and yeah, so confusion. And so we want I want to I'm thriving for clarity. Whenever I have doubt, I'm trying to think of how I could like focus on the things that I can be sure about. If I have anxiety, is the same thing. I'm trying to remind myself of the things that went well. And so these are like techniques that all of us like develop over time. And some of us have a stronger yeah, just like support system and psyche, but also a support system, other people and so on, helping you. But yeah, I think that meditation is a good tool. So that's just my point. Is a good tool for your life, and it's definitely a tool that I will keep in my life, and that I will try to work on, and even try to reach out to experts. Yeah. Okay. So on this note, I wish you a happy, like a good weekend. I will hit the gym now. I just ate a bit of chocolate. It's good for the sugars. The sugar just when I'm going to work out, I'm gonna use these. I'm gonna use this up as fuel, basically. Yeah. Okay. So have a nice day and a nice weekend and a